Somewhere beneath the waves, the story goes, lies a city of gold. A city ringed by water greater than any that came after. And then, in a single day and a single night, it was gone, swallowed whole by the sea. And for 2,000 years, we have never stopped looking for it. This is the mystery of Atlantis. It begins, as far as anyone can tell, with one man, the philosopher Plato, writing in Athens some 2,300 years ago. He set it down in just two works, the Timaeus and the Critias. No older account of Atlantis has ever been found. Every version we have flows from these two. Plato said the tale was not his own. It had come, he wrote, from the priests of Egypt, passed to a traveller named Solon, and carried down the years to him. And it spoke of a place beyond the Pillars of Hercules, out past the edge of the known world, into the open Atlantic. There, Plato wrote, stood Atlantis, a vast city laid out in great rings of land and water, one inside the next, joined by bridges and canals. At its heart rose a temple to Poseidon, god of the sea, its walls gleaming with a strange red-gold metal the Atlanteans called orichalcum. It was a land of hot and cold springs, of orchards and racecourses, and even, Plato said, of elephants. And it was mighty, a great sea empire whose fleets reached across the world. But power, in these old stories, is never the end. Atlantis grew proud and greedy and reached too far. And even the gods, Plato said, had seen enough. And so came the earthquakes and the floods. In one day and night, the great city slipped beneath the sea and was never seen again. That is the story. The question, the one that has haunted us for centuries, is whether any of it was ever real. Some believe Plato invented it all, a fable with a warning hidden inside. Others have spent their lives and their fortunes hunting for a city that may never have existed at all. Tonight, we look at both. 1. For over 2,000 years, people have tried to find Atlantis, and no one ever has. Not one stone has ever been confirmed as Atlantean. 2. Most historians think Plato made it up, an allegory. Even his own student, Aristotle, is often said to have doubted the tale. As one line goes, the man who invented Atlantis is the one who sank it. 3. Plato dated Atlantis to about 9,600 years before Christ, the end of the last ice age. No civilization we know of built great cities that early, which is a large part of the problem. 4. Because the clues are so specific, the search never stopped, and it keeps circling back to a handful of places. Here are the ones that won't go away. 5. The leading theory points to Santorini, ancient Thera, a Greek island with a volcano at its heart. 6. Around 1600 BC, that volcano erupted with staggering force and buried the advanced Minoan town of Akrotiri in ash, a real, sophisticated city frozen in time. 7. The blast crippled the Minoans, a great sea power almost overnight, a civilization that vanished from the waves, which is why many call it the likeliest spark for the legend. 8. But it doesn't quite fit. Thera was in the wrong sea, and thousands of years too late for Plato's date. A memory, perhaps, not the place itself. 9. Others look to Spain, the marshes of Doñana just north of Cadiz, which sit, tellingly, beyond the Strait of Gibraltar, exactly where Plato pointed. 10. A team backed by National Geographic proposed a drowned settlement there, and even circular patterns in the mud. Suggestive, but never proven. 11. Off the Bahamas lies the Bimini Road, a long, straight line of underwater blocks that look almost man-made. 12. A psychic named Edgar Cayce predicted, back in the 1930s, that Atlantis would rise near Bimini. And when the blocks were found decades later, believers were electrified. Geologists, though, call it natural beach rock. 13. And then there is the strangest candidate of all, one that isn't in the sea at all. It lies in the middle of the Sahara. 14. The Eye of the Sahara, the Rishat structure in Mauritania, is a formation of near-perfect concentric rings, almost 40 kilometers across. Rings of land, one inside the next. Sound familiar? 15. Its size, its rings, even old claims of ancient flooding. To some, it matches Plato almost too well. It has become the internet's favorite Atlantis. But there is a problem with it, and we'll get to that. 16. Believers point to the details. Plato said the first king of Atlantis was named Atlas, and the Atlas Mountains and the Atlantic itself carry that name, right beside the Sahara. 17. They note too that the Sahara was not always sand. Thousands of years ago, it was green, crossed by rivers and lakes. So, they argue, perhaps the eye was once near water. 18. But here the dream meets the rock. To geologists, the eye is not a city at all. It is a natural formation, a great dome of rock pushed up and worn down into rings over millions of years. 19. And it is old, staggeringly old. The rocks at its heart are around 100 million years old, from the age of the dinosaurs, long before any human walked the earth. 20. It is also nowhere near the sea. It sits deep inland, high above the waves, never an Atlantic island, never sunk beneath the ocean in all of human history. 21. And when people have searched those rings, they have found no walls, no harbours, no temples, none of the orichalcum, none of what Plato described. No city has ever been found there. 22. What has been found is quieter and stranger. Scattered across that desert lie ancient stone hand axes dropped by early humans hundreds of thousands of years ago. Real people, just not the ones from the story. 23. And that is the pattern everywhere. Santorini, Spain, the Bahamas, the Sahara. Every trail, followed far enough, comes back without proof. 24. Which is why most scholars believe Plato was doing what he always did, telling a story to make a point. Atlantis, they say, was a warning about pride and power and how even the mightiest can fall. 25. And yet, the tale has never quite let us go, because it feels true. Because deep down, we know the sea really can swallow a world. And here is the strange part. Sometimes it has. So let us leave the myth behind and go to the real ones. The cities the sea actually took. 26. For centuries, the Egyptian port of Thonis-Heracleion was thought to be a myth, named in old texts but never found. In the year 2000, the underwater archaeologist Frank Goddio located its ruins in Abu Qir Bay, off the coast of Egypt. 27. It didn't simply flood. The soft, waterlogged clay it was built on liquefied during earthquakes, and the whole city slid into the sea around the 2nd century BC. 28. Divers there have found statues over 5 meters tall, a great temple, and dozens of sunken ships, and even now, only a small fraction of the city has been uncovered. 29. Off southern Greece lies Pavlopetri, the oldest submerged planned town ever found. Its streets, houses and tombs are around 5,000 years old. 30. Pavlopetri sits so shallow, just a few meters down in clear water, that you can see its entire town plan from the surface. It's thought to have sunk from earthquakes around 3,000 years ago. 31. Off the coast of Gujarat, in India, lies Dwarka, in Hindu tradition, the golden city of the god Krishna, said to have been reclaimed by the sea. Long dismissed as legend until submerged stone structures were found offshore. 32. And in early 2026, the Archaeological Survey of India announced a new, deeper investigation of Dwarka, meaning one of the world's oldest lost city legends is being explored right now. 33. In the Bay of Naples lies Baiae, a glamorous Roman resort town, a playground of emperors whose villas and marble streets slowly sank beneath the sea as the volcanic ground shifted. 34. Today, Baiae is an underwater park. You can swim over its mosaic floors and past its statues, still standing on the seabed where they fell. 35. In China lies Xicheng, the Lion City, a 1,300-year-old town that no disaster destroyed. It was deliberately flooded in 1959 to build a reservoir, and now rests, whole, beneath a lake. 36. Because it lies deep in still, dark, fresh water, no sunlight, no storms, the Lion City is astonishingly preserved. Divers move through its carved archways like a city frozen in time. 37. Off Yonaguni, in Japan, divers found enormous stepped stone terraces on the seabed. Some believe they were carved by human hands, others that they're a natural formation. It remains genuinely unresolved. 38. Port Royal in Jamaica, once called the wickedest city on earth, was a pirate haven that an earthquake dropped almost whole into the sea in 1692 in a matter of minutes. 39. And it isn't only cities. Off Britain lies Doggerland, an entire inhabited land with hills and rivers and people that vanished beneath the rising North Sea after the last ice age. 40. Marine archaeology is still young. Vast stretches of shallow, ancient coastline have never been mapped, so somewhere out there, almost certainly, are lost cities we haven't found yet. 41. In 2015, divers off the coast of Sicily recovered dozens of ingots of a reddish gold metal from a 2,600-year-old shipwreck, a copper alloy that closely matches the ancient descriptions of orichalcum, the fabled metal of Atlantis, real and recovered. 42. The Atlantic Ocean itself is named for the legend. Atlantic means the Sea of Atlas, and Atlas, in Plato's tale, was the first king of Atlantis. 43. Plato almost certainly wrote it as a warning to his own city. Atlantis, the proud sea empire that overreached and was destroyed, was a mirror held up to imperial Athens. 44. For nearly 2,000 years, Atlantis was mostly forgotten. The modern obsession began in 1882 with one book, Ignatius Donnelly's Atlantis, the Antediluvian World, which lit the fuse for almost every theory since. 45. Few myths have shaped imagination so widely. Atlantis runs through Jules Verne, through comics and games and cartoons, a lost world we keep rebuilding in stories. 46. Over the years, people have placed Atlantis on nearly every continent on Earth, from the Andes to the North Sea to the ice of Antarctica. The search has never really stopped. 47. And there is a grain of possibility in it. At the end of the last ice age, rising seas really did drown vast inhabited lands, so a distant memory of a country swallowed by the water is not impossible, even if Atlantis itself never was. 48. Yet for all Plato's claim that the story came from Egypt, No Egyptian record of Atlantis has ever been found, not one, which remains one of the strongest reasons to doubt it. 49. No scientific body has ever recognized any site as Atlantis, but the centuries of searching were not wasted. The hunt for the imaginary city helped build the very science that finds the real ones. 50. And perhaps that is the truest thing Atlantis has to tell us. Not where it was, but what Plato meant by it. That no city, no empire, no golden age, however great, lasts forever. The sea, in the end, comes for us all. And so the old god turns from the water and lets the story rest. Whether it was ever real, we may never know. But somewhere out there, beneath the waves, the sea still keeps its secrets, the drowned cities we have found and the ones we never will. Rest now. Let the tide carry you down. There is nothing left to find tonight, only the quiet and the water and the dark.